Hello. Hello. Oh, brother. Don't we love it? We love when things break. Okay, let me just change the thumbnail, because the thing with YouTube is if the stream dies, then oh, I can't fucking see the settings. When the stream dies, you've got to have a whole new fucking waiting room. Oops! Oh no, the ice! Fuck. Oh, there's water everywhere. Okay, well. Maybe I don't have that, and maybe I learned from my mistake. Looks sick. Ugh. Okay. Thumbnail. Hi Mimi, hi Cha. So I went to go plug my phone in and I accidentally knocked the plug that connected my PC to the extension and it just turned my PC off, so. Snorted, oops. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake, Ali. God fucking damn it, man. What I did was, like, I had the extension with, I had a charger for, like, my iPad in it. I pulled the plug out, and then I noticed that the plug for my computer was, like, kind of hanging out. So I went to push it in, and then for some reason, me doing that turned off the PC, because that makes sense. Apologies for the YouTube settings. No, don't allow AI to fuck with my stream, thank you. No, don't allow embedding, thank you. Oh, I see, sorry to hear that. No, it's fine, I'm annoyed at myself more than anything, because I mean, I should just leave things alone, but it's one of those situations where it's like, if it's something that looks like it needs fixing, then I'll fix it, you know? Okay. Can you see me? Okay, there we go. Apologies for that. I literally, I was like, I'm only gonna take like a second to put the charger in, so I'm gonna put in a fucking throat sweet in my mouth just to pass the time. And then a motherfucking... yeah. So I've had a little bit of time to rest my voice as well, at least. But, I guess I'll put the sweet away. Oh yeah, I guess I also need to change the chat. Technology. I say I love you in a cute way, and then I don't respond for 7 fucking days, yeah. Mixed messages. Okay. Right, this should be the new chat, I think. Or at least it should be loading in. Chat is disabled. What? Is it? Says who? Didn't ask. Is it not just doing the same settings as usual? Mixed messages. Saying I love you when I get my yeah, live chat is enabled. I don't know what the fuck it's talking about. Again, sorry for the interruption. It's annoying as well because then there's like 2 different Coraline reading streams. I don't want the. Okay, maybe I try come in and out. No, that didn't do anything. Okay. I guess the chat's just fucked. Apologies. Don't know why it's... Oh, it's because I'm copying the old link. I'm so dumb. Fuck's sake. Moon River. Fuck my fucking ass. Also, I recommend you tweeting you were back. I mean, true. Yeah, no, you're right. I was gonna say, I mean, it's fine because I'm still streaming, but it's a different waiting room now. A little bit of feedback if you know, the YouTube AI bots, they're always busy, you know, permanently deleting and was it like censoring and blocking and giving warnings to ASMR channels and VTubers in general. If you're listening to this, YouTube AI bots, here's a little bit of feedback for your master and emperor of YouTube. Improve YouTube live streaming, please. Thank you. Okay. But what was I doing? Oh yeah, the chat. Mixed messages. Say you love you in a cute way. And then okay, there we go, chat works. And I will make a tweet as per your recommendation, chat, because that does make sense. I'll just do it in the comments of my live post. New stream link. Ugh. Let me check if that link works. This is all stuff I usually do offline. But it's Gucci, it's smoochy, we do a little bit of bleh, a little bit of bleh. Okay, we're back. We're back, most importantly. Also, I think when I started the new stream, I knocked over the tray of ice and got my duvet all wet, so I'm gonna move that. That's to the side now. Because I'd like to learn from my mistakes. Oh my god. Whew, Jesus, that feels cold. I don't think I've ever had a throat sweet and then had an icy cold drink afterwards. That felt like fucking I was being deep throated by Elsa. What the fuck? I love it. Oh my god, that's so cold. Sheesh, that's so cold. Okay. How about we get back to reading anyway? You are not dumb, just unlucky a lot. It's funny though, isn't it? Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, Coraline was crying in bed. Oh, what a time for the stream to fucking die. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Should I like start the... I'll start from here so people might remember where they are, because I mean this is like a big capital where we are. Okay. Let's see. Turn my thing a little more. Coraline's story. Oh wait, I'll do this. She cleaned her teeth and went into her father's office. She woke up his computer and wrote a story. Coraline's story. There was a girl. Her name was Apple. She used to dance a lot. She danced and danced until her feet turned into sausages. The end. I'm curious how old Coraline is supposed to be in the book, because the fact that she can't spell, like, what was it? That she can't spell turned properly. Makes me think like maybe she's kind of young. I think in the movie she's supposed to be like 12 or something. I have no idea how old she's supposed to be here, but I think they said she's in like high school maybe, but she danced and danced until her feet turned into sausages in the end. She printed out the story and turned off the computer. Then she drew a picture of the little girl dancing underneath the words on the paper. She ran herself a bath with too much bubble bath in it, and the bubbles ran over the side and went all over the floor. She dried herself and the floor as best as she could and went to bed. Coraline woke up in the night. She went into her parents' bedroom, but the bed was made and empty. The glowing green numbers on the digital clock glowed 3:12 a.m. All alone in the middle of the night, Coraline began to cry. There was no other sound in the empty flat. She climbed into her parents' bed, and after a while she went back to sleep. Coraline was woken by cold paws batting her face. She opened her eyes. Big green eyes stared back at her. It was the cat. "Hello," said Coraline. "How did you get in?" The cat didn't say anything. Coraline got out of bed. She was wearing a long t-shirt and pajama bottoms. "Have you come to tell me something?" The cat yawned, which made its eyes flash green. "Do you know where Mummy and Daddy are?" The cat blinked at her slowly. "Is that a yes?" The cat blinked again. Coraline decided that was indeed a yes. "Will you take me to them?" The cat stared at her, then it walked out into the hallway. She followed. It walked the length of the corridor and stopped down at the very end, where a full-length mirror hung. The mirror had been, a long time before, the inside of a wardrobe. It had been hanging there on the wall when they moved in, and although Coraline's mother had spoken occasionally of replacing it with something newer, she never had. Coraline turned on the light in the hall. The mirror showed the corridor behind her. That was only to be expected, but also reflected in the mirror were her parents. They stood awkwardly in the reflection of the hall. They seemed sad and alone. As Coraline watched, they waved to her, slowly with limp hands. Coraline's father had his arm around her mother. In the mirror, Coraline's mother and father stared at her. Her father opened his mouth and said something, but she could hear nothing at all. Her mother breathed on the inside of the mirror glass, and quickly, before the fog faded, she wrote, "Help us," with the tip of her forefinger. The fog on the inside of the mirror faded, and so did her parents. And now the mirror reflected only the corridor, and Coraline and the cat. "Where are they?" Coraline asked the cat. The cat made no reply, but Coraline could imagine its voice, dry as a dead fly on a windowsill in winter, saying, "Well, where do you think they are?" "They aren't going to come back, are they?" said Coraline. "Not under their own steam." The cat blinked at her. Coraline took it as a yes. "Right," said Coraline. "Then I suppose there's only one thing left to do." She walked into her father's study. She sat down at his desk, then she picked up the telephone and opened the phone book and called the local police station. "Police," said a gruff male voice. "Hello," she said. "My name is Coraline Jones." "You're a bit up after your bedtime, aren't you, young lady?" said the policeman. "Possibly," said Coraline, who was not going to be diverted. "But I am ringing to report a crime." "And what sort of crime would that be?" "Kidnapping. Grown-up napping, really. My parents have been stolen away into a world on the other side of the mirror in our hall." "And do you know who stole them?" asked the police officer. Coraline could hear the smile in his voice, and she tried extra hard to sound like an adult might sound, to make him take her seriously. "I think my other mother has them both in her clutches. She may want to keep them and sew their eyes with black buttons, or she may simply have them in order to lure me back into reach of her fingers. I'm not sure." "Ah, the nefarious clutches of her fiendish fingers, is it?" he said. You know what I suggest, Miss Jones?" "No," said Coraline. What?
You ask your mother to make you a big old mug of hot chocolate, and then you give a great big old hug. There's nothing like hot chocolate and a hug for making the nightmares go away. And if she starts to tell you off for waking her up at this time of night, why, you tell her that's what the policeman said.
He had a deep, reassuring voice. Coraline was not reassured. When I see her, said Coraline, I shall tell her that. And she put down the telephone. Another example of the police being useful. Sarcasm. Coraline went back into her bedroom and put on her blue dressing gown and her slippers. She looked under the sink for a torch and found one. But the batteries had long since run down, and it barely glowed with the faintest straw-coloured light. She put it down again and found a box of in case of emergency white wax candles and thrust one into a candlestick. She put an apple into each pocket. She picked up the ring of keys and took the old black key off the ring. She walked into the drawing room and looked at the door. She had the feeling that the door was looking back at her, which she knew was silly and knew on a deeper level. She walked into the drawing room and looked at the door. She had the feeling that the door was looking back at her, which she knew was silly, and knew on a deeper level was somehow true. She went back into her bedroom and rummaged in the pocket of her jeans. She found the stone with the hole in it and put it in her dressing gown pocket. Bro, dressing gown pockets are not fucking... shit falls out of dressing gown pockets so easily. Don't do that. Put it back in your jeans pocket, brother. She lit the candle wick with a match and watched it sputter and light. Then she picked up the black key. It was cold in her hand. She put the key into the keyhole in the door, but did not turn it. When I was a little girl, said Coraline to the cat, when we lived in our old house a long, long time ago, my dad took me for a walk on the wasteland between our house and the shops. It wasn't the best place to go for a walk, really. There were all these things that people had thrown away back there. Old cookies and broken dishes, dolls with no arms and no legs, and empty cans and broken bottles. Mum and Dad made me promise not to go exploring back there, because there were too many sharp things, and tetanus and such. But I kept telling them I wanted to explore it. So one day my dad put on his big brown boots and his gloves and put my boots on me and my jeans and sweater, and we went for a walk. We must have walked for about 20 minutes. We went down this hill to the bottom of a gully, where a stream was, when my dad suddenly said to me, "Coraline, run away! Up the hill! Now!" He said it in a tight sort of way, urgently, so I did. I ran away up the hill. Something hurt me on the back of my arm as I ran, but I kept running. As I got to the top of the hill, I heard somebody thundering up the hill behind me. It was my dad, charging like a rhino. When he reached me, he picked me up in his arms and swept me over the edge of the hill. And then we stopped, and we puffed, and we panted, and we looked back down the gully. The air was alive with yellow wasps. We must have stepped on a wasp's nest in a rotten branch as we walked, and while I was running up the hill, my dad stayed and got stung to give me time to run away. His glasses had fallen off when he ran. Aww. I only had the one sting on the back of my arm. He had 39 stings all over him. We counted later in the bath. Oh, what a good dad. The black cat began to wash its face and whiskers in a manner that indicated increasing impatience. Coraline reached down and stroked the back of its head and neck. The cat stood up, walked several paces until it was out of her reach, then it sat down and looked up at her again. "So," said Coraline, "later that afternoon, my dad went back to the wasteland to get his glasses back. He said if he left it another day, he wouldn't be able to remember where they'd fallen. And soon he got home, wearing his glasses. He said that he wasn't scared when he was standing there, and the wasps were stinging him and hurting him, and he was watching me run away, because he knew he had given me enough time to run, or the wasps would have come after both of us." Coraline turned the key in the door. It turned with a loud clunk. The door swung open. There was no brick wall on the other side of the door, only darkness. A cold wind blew through the passageway. Coraline made no move to walk through the door. And he said that wasn't brave of him, doing that, just standing there and being stung, said Coraline to the cat. It wasn't brave because he wasn't scared. It was the only thing he could do. But going back again to get his glasses when he knew the wasp was there, that was when he was really scared. That was brave. She took her first step down the dark corridor. She could smell dust and damp and mustiness. The cat padded along beside her. "And why was that?" asked the cat, although it sounded barely interested. "Because," she said, "when you're scared but you still do it anyway, that's brave." The candle cast huge, strange, flickering shadows along the wall. She heard something moving in the darkness beside her, or to one side of her. She could not tell. It seemed as if it was keeping pace with her, or whatever it was. "And that's why you're going back to her world, then," said the cat, "because your father once saved you from wasps." "Don't be silly," said Coraline. "I'm going back for them because they are my parents, and if they noticed I was gone, I'm sure they would do the same for me. You know you're talking again." "How fortunate I am," said the cat, "in having a travelling companion of such wisdom and intelligence." Its tone remained sarcastic, but its fur was bristling, and its brush of a tail struck up in the air. Coraline was going to say something like, "Sorry," or "Wasn't it a lot shorter walk last time?" when the candle went out as suddenly as if it had been snuffed out by someone's hand. There was a scrabbling and a pattering, and Coraline could feel her heart pounding against her ribs. She put out one hand and felt something wispy, like a spider's web, brush her hands in her face. At the end of the corridor, the electric light went on, blinding after the darkness. A woman stood, silhouetted by the light, a little ahead of Coraline. "Coraline? Darling?" she called. "Mom!" said Coraline, and she ran forward, eager and relieved. "Darling," said the mother, "why did you ever run away from me?" Coraline was too close to stop, and she felt the other mother's cold arms enfold her. She stood there, rigid and trembling as the other mother held her tightly. "Where are my parents?" Coraline asked. "We're here," said her other mother in a voice so close to her real mother's that Coraline could scarcely tell them apart. "We're here. We're ready to love you and play with you and feed you and make your life interesting." Coraline pulled back, and the other mother let her go with reluctance. The other father, who had been sitting on a chair in the hallway, stood up and smiled. "Come on into the kitchen," he said. "I'll make us a midnight snack, and you'll want something to drink. Hot chocolate, perhaps?" Coraline walked down the hallway until she reached the mirror at the end. There was nothing reflected in it but a young girl in her dressing gown and slippers, who looked like she had recently been crying, but whose eyes were real eyes, not black buttons, and who was holding tightly to a burned-out candle in a candlestick. She looked at the girl in the mirror, and the girl in the mirror looked back at her. "I will be brave," thought Coraline. "No, I am brave." She put down the candlestick on the floor, then she turned around. The other mother and the other father were looking at her hungrily. "I don't need a snack," she said. "I have an apple. See?" And she took an apple from her dressing gown pocket, then bit into it with relish and enthusiasm that she did not really feel. The other father looked disappointed. The other mother smiled, showing a full set of teeth, and each of the teeth was a tiny bit too long. The lights in the hallway made her black button eyes glitter and gleam. "You don't frighten me," said Coraline, although they did frighten her very much. I want my parents back. The world seemed to shimmer a little at the edges. Whatever would I have done with your old parents? If they have left you, Coraline, it must be because they became bored with you or tired. Now, I will never become bored with you, and I will never abandon you. You will always be safe here with me. The other mother's wet-looking black hair drifted around her head, like the tentacles of a creature in the deep ocean. They weren't bored of me, said Coraline. You're lying. You stole them. Silly, silly Coraline. They are fine wherever they are. Coraline simply glared at the other mother. I'll prove it, said the other mother, and brushed the surface of the mirror with her long white fingers. It clouded over as if a dragon had breathed on it, and then it cleared. In the mirror it was daytime already, and Coraline was looking at the hallway all the way down to her front door. The door opened from the outside, and Coraline's mother and father walked inside. They carried suitcases.
That was a fine holiday.
Wait, what was my voice for the other father? He sounded bored, and it was bored and deep.
That was a fine holiday,
said Coraline's father. How nice it is not to have Coraline anymore, said her mother with a happy smile. Now we can do all the things we always wanted to do, like go abroad, but were prevented from doing by having a little daughter.
And, said her father, I take great comfort in knowing that her other mother will take better care of her than we ever could.
The mirror fogged and faded and reflected the night once more. See, said her other mother. No, said Coraline, I don't see, and I don't believe it either. She hoped that what she had just seen was not real, but she was not as certain as she sounded. There was a tiny doubt inside her, like a maggot in an apple core. Then she looked up and saw the expression on her other mother's face, a flash of real anger, which crossed her face like summer lightning. And Coraline was sure in her heart that what she had seen in the mirror was no more than an illusion. Coraline sat down on the sofa and ate her apple. Please, said her other mother, don't be difficult. She walked into the drawing room and clapped her hands twice. There was a rustling noise and a black rat appeared. It stared up at her. Bring me the key, she said. The rat chittered, then it ran through the open door that led back to Coraline's own flat. The rat returned, dragging the key behind it. Why don't you have your own key on this side? Asked Coraline.
There's only one key, only one door, said the other father.
Hush, said the other mother. You must not bother our darling Coraline's head with such trivialities. She put the key in the keyhole and twisted. The lock was stiff, but it clunked closed. She dropped the key into her apron pocket. Outside, the sky had begun to lighten to a luminous grey. If we aren't going to have a midnight snack, said the other mother, we still need our beauty sleep. I'm going back to bed, Coraline. I would strongly suggest that you do the same. She placed her long white fingers on the shoulders of the father, and she walked him out of the room. Coraline walked over to the door at the far corner of the drawing room. She tugged on it, but was tightly locked. The door of her other parents' bedroom was now closed. She was indeed tired, but she did not want to sleep in the bedroom. She did not want to sleep under the same roof as her other mother. The front door was not locked. Coraline walked out into the dawn and down the stone steps. She sat down on the bottom step. It was cold. Something furry brushed itself against her side in one smooth, insinuating motion. Coraline jumped, then breathed a sigh of relief when she saw what it was. Oh, it's you, she said to the black cat.
See, said the cat. It wasn't so hard recognizing me, was it? Even without names.
Well, what if I wanted to call you? The cat wrinkled its nose and managed to look unimpressed.
calling cats, it confided, tends to be a rather overrated activity. Might as well call a whirlwind.
What if it was dinner time? Asked Coraline. Wouldn't you want to be called then?
Of course, said the cat. But a simple cry of dinner would do nicely. See? No need for names.
Why does she want me? Coraline asked the cat. Why does she want me to stay here with her?
She wants something to love, I think.
Sorry, my stomach's rumbling. I don't know why I'm getting hungry at them talking about, like, cat food. Like, talking about the concept of, like the cat coming in for dinner, like, for cat food. And I'm, like, getting hungry thinking about that. Oh. Hi, Reagan. Hi, Mimi. Oh no, the other mother took your lovely snail eyes. It's okay, my other eyes at the bottom, underneath the screen, are still fine. You can't see them, but they're still fine. Excuse me. I love the use of stole them for the parents instead of kidnapped. It feels much more like what a kid would say. Yeah, I do like that too. I remember they also did that in the movie as well, but I do like the way that, like, they're phrasing things for Coraline. Like, it does really make it sound like it's like a kid talking. Like, even I tried to make it sound like when she was talking to the policeman, I tried to make it sound like she was choosing her words very delicately because she wanted to be taken seriously. What was it? Where was it? Anyway, I tried to make it sound like she was saying her words, like, very carefully and delicately, because, I mean, Coraline is just clearly used to the adults in her life not listening to her. Like, she goes and talks to Miss Forcible and Miss Spink, or the old man upstairs, which I don't think he has a name in the book. They just gave him a name for the movie, if I remember hearing correctly, at least. And whenever she talks to, like, the old people, like Miss Forcible and Miss Spink, or the old man upstairs, they call her by the wrong name, and she tries to tell them that her parents are missing, and they're just like, oh, remind your mother that we found those clippings that she was interested about. Like, clearly the parents weren't even interested, but the old people just want to talk about themselves. And to be honest, this is, like, a very real thing. I mean, like, obviously we've all been kids. We've all, like, been through childhood. And, like, we've all definitely been through it where, like, an adult hasn't taken us seriously just because we're a child. So I do like the way that it's written. Like, it makes it sound like this is, like, from a child's perspective. She is vulnerable and young, but she, you know, she's still, like, she knows what she can see, she trusts her instincts, and she knows that there's danger and no one's helping her. She wants something to love, I think. I remember the cat saying that in the movie. Yeah. I try, whenever there's, like, a line that I remember from the movie, I try to say it like how it says in the movie. And the cat says in the movie, it's like, she wants something to love, I think. Something that isn't her. Or maybe she'd just love something to eat. Eat? Mothers don't eat daughters. I don't know. How do you taste? That's it. Okay. Where was I? Okay, I was here. She wants something to love, I think, said the cat. Something that isn't her. She might want something to eat as well. It's hard to tell with creatures like that. Do you have any advice? Asked Coraline. The cat looked as if it were about to say something else sarcastic. Then it flicked its whiskers and said, Challenge her. There's no guarantee she'll play fair, but her kind of thing loves games and challenges. What kind of thing is that? Asked Coraline. But the cat made no answer, simply stretched luxuriantly and walked away. Then it stopped and turned and said, I'd go inside if I were you. Get some sleep. You have a long day ahead of you. And then the cat was gone. Still, Coraline realized it had a point. She crept back into the silent house, past the closed bedroom door beyond which the other mother and the other father, what, she wondered, slept? Waited? And then it came to her that, should she open the bedroom door, she would find it empty, or more precisely, that it was an empty room, and it would remain empty until the exact moment that she opened the door. That's creepy. Somehow that made it easier. Coraline, is it saying like it's the world is designed just for her eyes? Like when she's not there, everything's just like bleh, like dead. Because I mean that's also, you know, creepy. Somehow that made it easier. Coraline walked into the green and pink parody of her own bedroom. She closed the door and hauled the toy box in front of it. It would not keep anyone out, but the noise someone would make trying to dislodge it would wake her, she hoped. The toys in the toy box were still mostly asleep, and they stirred and muttered as she moved their box, and then they went back to sleep. Coraline checked under her bed, looking for rats, but there was nothing there. She took off her dressing gown and slippers and climbed into bed, and fell asleep with barely enough time to reflect. As she did so, on what the cat what could have sorry, so tongue-tied. As she did so, on what the cat could have meant by a challenge. There was no ground beneath her feet, just a misty, milky whiteness. I guess this is what's gonna happen soon. Damn, how are we like halfway through, bro? I guess I'm getting faster at reading. I mean, to be fair, like again, it is like big print, like bigger print. Sorry, that was my neighbor. Oh yeah, I just realized I don't have the like music box music on. Sorry, let me change that. Oh, my stomach is a rumbling. I'm gonna grab something to eat really quick and then I'll be back. I'll probably be like a few minutes. I'm just them talking of like the dinner scene and then for some reason the cat food scene. Sorry, I know I just started stream again, but I am kind of hungry. I'm gonna grab like a cinnamon roll or something and eat. I'll be a few minutes. Speed reading snail. I really don't think it's speed reading. I think it's more like it's bigger font. So it's like it gives the illusion that I'm reading faster, but I'm not really. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, right. BRB. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I absolutely devoured 2 cinnamon buns. Freesha! Bro, legit, like, you know that scene in the opening, in the openings, you know, in the opening scene of the newer It movie from 2017, where, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, 3, 2, 1, where Georgie reaches his hand in to get the paper boat back from Pennywise, and Pennywise, like, bites into Georgie's arm and his eyes, like, roll back. That's how I felt when I was eating the cinnamon bun. Like, legit, like, I swear I felt like my eyes crossing, when I went to bite into the cinnamon bun, because, like, for, like, the past hour or so, I've been thinking about food. Like, as well, because the fucking book keeps, like, describing food and whatnot, and I'm just like, gimme, yeah. Okay. Alright, I've got the music box music back. Got that music back, Looking back, Mimi had good noms. I did. I had 2 thick cinnamon buns that were like this thick and like this big, and they were glazed with white icing. Sorry, that was my neighbour. Oh yeah, there's my cut, by the way, if you're curious. It's like mostly, I mean, not healed fully, but it's like a scab. This was from, I posted about it on my NSFW account. I tried opening, I was snorny, right? I was snorny, and my vibrator had run out of batteries, or at least it was dying. And I was trying to unscrew it, but I think it must be broken or something. I'm probably gonna have to buy another at some point, because I can't unscrew it no matter what I do. So I tried like pivoting it off with some scissors, and then I ended up just, yeah, big wound on my finger, but it's not deep, it's fine. Didn't need stitches like y'all were worrying about. It's all good. I'm the invincible snail, the immortal snail, y'all. I don't need stitches. I'm Gucci. That looks nasty. Glad it's here. I mean, it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad, but I appreciate that you care. Food's so good it makes your eyes all back. No, legit, it's because I'd been thinking about it for like the past hour or so, and I was really hungry. Like, my stomach's been rumbling a bunch during the stream, and when I went to eat, I was just like, oh my god. anyways, yeah, we're like kind of halfway through right now. Damn, I'm kind of sad. I've been enjoying it. Okay. Chapter 6. Coraline was woken by the mid-morning sun full on her face. For a moment she felt utterly dislocated. She did not know where she was. She was not entirely sure who she was. It is astonishing just how much of what we are can be tied to the beds we wake up in the morning, and it is astonishing how fragile that can be. What does that mean? It is astonishing just how much of what we are can be tied to the beds we wake up in the morning. We wake up in the morning, and it is astonishing how fragile it can be. I guess I kind of get what it's saying. What? Jesus, sorry, my fan fell off my desk. Apologies. Okay, let's see. I think the book is by Scarier. Well, I'm finding out for myself. I'm glad to hear your opinion as well. No spoilies though, no spoilies. But thank you for being here, Spanky. Hello. Sometimes Coraline would forget who she was while she was daydreaming, that she was exploring the Arctic or the Amazon forest or darkest Africa, And it was not until someone tapped her on the shoulder or said her name that Coraline would come back from 1,000,000 miles away with a start, and all in a fraction of a second have to remember who she was, and what her name was, and that she was even there at all. I think I understand what this means now. Yeah, because, like, I don't know, I had it, for example, last night where I had a dream and I woke up and just, I was, like, fully embodied in the world I was in, who I was in that dream. And then, like, it came crashing back down to me. I'm like, oh, none of that was real. Like, it's like in that world I had fully face revealed to my community and everything, and it was just known what my face was. I mean, to some of you might know my face. But I woke up and I was just like, oh my god, my community know my face now. And then I was like, oh, wait, that was a dream. Like, I don't know, it's one of those examples. But, like, it's interesting, like, how fragile, like, the world we think we are and the world that we actually are in is, like, depending on, like, I don't know, I understand what it means. I'm bad at explaining things. Okay. Now, there was the sun on her face, and she was Coraline Jones. Yes. And then the green and pinkness of the room she was in, and the rustling of a large painted paper butterfly as it fluttered and beat its way about the ceiling, told her where she had woken up. She climbed out of the bed. She could not wear her pyjamas, dressing gown and slippers during the day, she decided, even if it meant wearing the other Coraline's clothes. Was there an other Coraline? No, she decided, there wasn't. There was just her. There were no proper clothes in the cupboard, though. They were more like dressing-up clothes, or she thought. The kind of clothes she would love to have hanging in her own wardrobe at home. There was a raggedy witch costume, a patched scarecrow costume, a future warrior costume with little digital lights on it that glittered and blinked, a slinky evening dress all covered in feathers and mirrors. Finally, in a drawer, she found a pair of black jeans that seemed to be made of velvet night, and a grey sweater the colour of thick smoke with faint and tiny stars in the fabric which twinkled. She pulled on the jeans and the sweater, then she put on a pair of bright orange boots she found at the bottom of the cupboard. She took her last apple out of the pocket of her dressing gown, and then, from the same pocket, the stone with the hole in it. She put the stone into the pocket of her jeans, and it was as if her head had cleared a little, as if she had come out of some sort of fog. She went into the kitchen, but it was deserted. A snace reveal. I thought you said snussy. I was like, oh no, oh no. Because again, I'm wearing like a long dress because it's like all I have clean right now. Clean, and I'm not wearing any underwear, so I keep getting worried that when I shuffle around, you can see my snussy. But I'm sure it's fine. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. She went into the kitchen, but it was deserted. Still, she was sure that there was someone in the flat. She walked down the hall until she reached her father's study, and discovered that it was occupied. "Where's the other mother?" she asked the other father. He was sitting in the study at a desk which looked just like her father's, but he was not doing anything at all, not even reading gardening catalogues as her own father did when he was only pretending to be working. "Out," he told her. "Fixing the doors. There are some vermin problems." He seemed pleased to have somebody to talk to. "The rats, you mean?" Fucking hell, my neighbours. "No, the rats are our friends. This is the other kind. Big, black fellow with his tail high." "The cat, you mean?" "That's the one," said her other father. He looked less like her true father today. There was something slightly vague about his face, like bread dough that had begun to rise, smoothing out the bumps and cracks and depressions. "Really, I mustn't talk to you when she's not here," he said. "But don't you worry, she won't be gone often.
I shall demonstrate our tender hospitality to you, such that you will not even think about ever going back." He closed his mouth and folded his hands in his lap. "So, what am I to do now?" asked Coraline. The other father pointed to his lips. Silence. "If you won't even talk to me," said Coraline, "I am going exploring." "No point," said the other father. "There isn't anywhere but here. This is all she made. The house, the grounds, and the people in the house. She made it and she waited." Then he looked embarrassed and he put one finger to his lips again, as if he had just said too much. Coraline walked out of his study. She went into the drawing room over to the old door and she pulled it, rattled and shook it. No, it was locked fast and the other mother had the key. She looked around the room. It was so familiar. That was what made it feel so truly strange. Everything was exactly the same as she remembered. There was all her grandmother's strange-smelling furniture. There was the painting of the bowl of fruit, a bunch of grapes, 2 plums, a peach and an apple, hanging on the wall. There was the low wooden table with the lion's feet, and the empty fireplace which seemed to suck heat from the room. But there was something else, something she did not remember seeing. A ball of glass upon the mantelpiece. She went over to the fireplace, went up on tiptoes and lifted it down. It was a snow globe with 2 little people in it. Coraline shook it and oh my god, what are my neighbors doing? They're slamming their door so loud. I'm so sorry, y'all. Do you hear this? They're just slamming the door over and over again. I do apologize. It was a snow globe with 2 little people in it. Coraline shook it and set the snow flying. White snow that glittered as it tumbled through the water. Then she put the snow globe back on the mantelpiece and carried on looking for her true parents and for a way out. If only you knew, wee lassie, if only you knew. She went out of the flat, past the flashing lights door, behind which the other Mrs. Spink and Forcible performed their show forever, and set off into the woods. Where Coraline came from, once you were through the patch of trees, you saw nothing but the meadow and the old tennis court. In this place the woods went on further, the trees becoming cruder and less tree-like the further you went. Pretty soon they seemed very approximate, like that idea of trees. A greyish-brown trunk below, a greenish splotch of something that might have been leaves above. Coraline wondered if the other mother wasn't interested in trees, or if she just hadn't bothered with this bit properly because nobody was expected to come out this far. Probably the latter. She kept walking, and then the mist began. It was not damp, like a normal fog or mist. It was not cold, and it was not warm. It felt to Coraline like she was walking into nothing. I'm an explorer, thought Coraline to herself, and I need all the ways out of here that I can get, so I shall keep walking. The world she was walking through was a pale nothingness, like a blank sheet of paper or an enormous empty white room. It had no temperature, no smell, no texture, and no taste. It certainly wasn't mist, thought Coraline, although she did not know what it was. For a moment she wondered if she might have gone blind, but no, she could see herself, plain as day. There was no ground beneath her feet, just a misty, milky whiteness. "And what do you think you're doing?" said a shape to one side of her. It took a few moments for her eyes to focus on it properly. She thought it might be some kind of lion at first, some distance away from her, and then she thought it might be a mouse, close beside her, and then she knew what it was. "I'm exploring," Coraline told the cat. Its fur stood straight out from its body and its eyes were wide, while its tail was down and between its legs. It did not look like a happy cat. "Bad place," said the cat, "if you want to call it a place, which I don't. What are you doing here?" "I'm exploring." "Nothing to find here," said the cat. "This is just the outside, the part of the place she hasn't bothered to create."
She?
"The one who says she's your other mother," said the cat.
What is she? Asked Coraline. The cat did not answer, just padded through the pale mist beside Coraline. Something began to appear in front of them, something high and towering and dark. "You were wrong," she told the cat. "There is something there." And then it took shape in the mist. A dark house which loomed at them out of the formless whiteness. "But that's..." said Coraline.
"The house you just left," agreed the cat. "Precisely."
"Maybe I just got turned around in the mist," said Coraline. The cat curled the high tip of its tail into a question mark and tipped its head onto one side.
"You might have done," it said. "I certainly would not. Wrong indeed."
"But how can you walk away from something and still come back to it?"
"Easy," said the cat. "Think of somebody walking around the world. You start out walking away from something and end up coming back to it."
"Small world," said Coraline.
"It's big enough for her," said the cat. "Spiders. Webs only have to be large enough to catch flies."
Coraline shivered. "He said that she's fixing all the gates and the doors," she told the cat, "to keep you out."
"She may try," said the cat, unimpressed. "Oh yes, she may try."
They were standing under a clump of trees now beside the house. These trees looked much more likely. There's ways in and ways out of places like this that even she doesn't... Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, you're good, Mimi, we can't hear it. Okay. Fabulous. I'm gonna put my legs back to under the table. Oh, my feet go down so fast. Okie doke. Let's see.
There's ways in and ways out of places like this that even she doesn't know about.
Did she make this place then? Asked Coraline.
Made it. Found it. What's the difference? Asked the cat. Either way, she's had it a very long time. Hang on.
And it gave a shiver and a leap, and before Coraline could blink, the cat was sitting with its paw holding down a big black rat.
It's not that I like rats at the best of times, said the cat conversationally, as if nothing had happened, but the rats in this place are all spies for her. She uses them as her eyes and hands.
And with that, the cat let the rat go. It ran for almost a meter, and then the cat, with one bound, was upon it, batting it hard with one sharp, clawed paw, while holding it down with the other.
I love this bit, said the cat happily. Want to see me do that again?
No, said Coraline. Why do you do it? You're torturing it.
Said the cat.
It let the rat go. The rat stumbled, dazed for a few steps. Then it began to run. Where am I looking? The rat stumbled, dazed for a few steps, and then it began to run. With a blow of its paw, the cat knocked the rat into the air and caught it in its mouth. Stop it, said Coraline. The cat dropped the rat between its two front paws.
There are those, it said with a sigh in tones as smooth as oiled silk, who have suggested that the tendency of a cat to play with its prey is a merciful one. After all, it permits the occasional funny little running snack to escape from time to time. How often does your dinner get to escape?
And then it picked the rat up in its mouth and carried it off into the woods, behind a tree. Coraline walked back into the house. All was quiet and empty and deserted. Even her footsteps on the carpeted floor seemed loud. Dust motes hung in a beam of sunlight. At the far end of the hall was the mirror. She could see herself walking towards the mirror, looking, reflected, a little braver than she actually felt. There was nothing else in the mirror, just her in the corridor. A hand touched her shoulder and she looked up. The other mother stared down at Coraline with big button eyes. "Coraline, my darling," she said. "I thought we could play some games together this morning, now that you're back from your walk. Hopscotch, Monopoly, happy families." "You weren't in the mirror," said Coraline. The other mother smiled. "Mirrors," she said, "are never to be trusted. Now, what game shall we play?" Coraline shook her head. "I don't want to play with you," she said. "I want to go home and be with my real parents. I want you to let them go, to let us all go." The other mother shook her head very slowly. "Sharper than a serpent's tooth," she said, "is a daughter's ingratitude. Still the proudest spirit can be broken with love." And her long white fingers waggled and caressed the air. "I have no plans to love you," said Coraline. "No matter what, you can't make me love you." "Let's talk about it," said the other mother, and she turned and walked into the sitting room. Coraline followed her. The other mother sat down on the big sofa. She picked up a brown handbag from beside the sofa and took out a white, rustling paper bag from inside it. She extended the hand with the paper bag in it to Coraline. "Would you like one?" she asked politely. Expecting it to be a toffee or a butterscotch ball, Coraline looked down. The bag was half filled with large, shiny black beetles, crawling over each other in their effort to get out of the bag. "No," said Coraline, "I don't want one." "Suit yourself," said her other mother. She carefully picked out a particularly large and black beetle, pulled off its legs, which she dropped neatly into a big glass ashtray on the small table beside the sofa, and popped the beetle into her mouth. She crunched it happily. "Yum," she said, and took another. "Ugh, you're sick," said Coraline. "Sick and evil and weird." "Is that any way to talk to your mother?" her other mother asked, with her mouth full of black beetles. "You aren't my mother," said Coraline. Her other mother ignored this. "Now, I think you are a little overexcited, Coraline. Perhaps this afternoon we could do a little embroidery together, or some watercolour painting. Then dinner, and then, if you have been good, you may play with the rats a little before bed, and I shall read you a story, and tuck you in, and kiss you good night." Her long white fingers fluttered gently, like a tired butterfly, and Coraline shivered. "No," said Coraline. The other mother sat on the sofa. Her mouth was set in a line, her lips were pursed. And then another, like someone with her lips were pursed. She popped another black beetle into her mouth, and then another, like someone with a red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. I keep having to reset my tongue a lot. The other mother sat on the sofa. Her mother was sick. The other mother sat on the sofa. Her mouth was set in a line. Her lips were pursed. She popped another black beetle into her mouth, and then another, like someone with a bag of chocolate-covered raisins. Her big, black button eyes looked into Coraline's hazel eyes. Her shiny black hair twined and twisted about her neck and shoulders, as if it were blowing in some wind that Coraline could not touch or feel. Bro, that's ugh, I hate that shit. That's creepy. Makes me think of, that one movie, Mama, where like the visual of Mama is so creepy. The way that like her hair is like blowing up and like, ugh, I don't like it. It also reminds me of, I mean, the other book I'm reading, It by Stephen King. Like, I mean, I guess this is like the opposite of, I guess what I'm thinking of from It is the opposite of this. I'm thinking of the scene where, what's his name? Ben sees Pennywise for the first time, and it's very windy, but Pennywise has like a bunch of balloons around him that don't move with the wind. They just kind of like glide forwards. And it's like, oh, that's creepy. They stared at each other for a minute. Then the other mother said, "Manners!" She folded the white paper bag carefully so no black beetle could escape, and she placed it back in the shopping bag. And she stood up, and up, and up. And she seemed taller than Coraline remembered. She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out first the black door key, which she frowned at and tossed into her handbag, then a tiny silver-coloured key. She held it up triumphantly. "There we are," she said. "This is for you, Coraline, for your own good, because I love you, to teach you manners. Manners maketh the man, after all." She pulled Coraline back into the hallway and advanced upon the mirror at the end of the hall. Then she pushed the tiny key into the fabric of the mirror and she twisted it. The mirror opened like a door, revealing a dark space behind it. "You may come out when you've learned some manners," said the other mother, "and when you're ready to be a loving daughter." She picked Coraline up and pushed her into the dim space behind the mirror. A fragment of beetle was sticking to her lower lip, and there was no expression at all in her black button eyes. Then she swung the mirror door closed and left Coraline alone in darkness. You got this, Mimi, thank you. Ooh, so these are the ghost children. Yeah, that's a lot creepier than in the... Well, I guess it's like creepy in its own way than the movie, but... Ugh. She stole our hearts and she stole our souls. Blah. Creepy! Chapter 7. Somewhere inside her, Coraline could feel a huge sob welling up, and then she stopped it. Before it came out, she took a deep breath and let it go. She put out her hands to touch the space in which she was imprisoned. It was the size of a broom cupboard, tall enough to stand in or sit in, not wide enough or deep enough to lie down in. One wall was glass, and it felt cold to the touch. She went around the tiny room a second time, running her hands over every surface that she could reach, feeling for doorknobs or switches, or concealed catches, some kind of way out, and found nothing. A spider scuttled over the back of her hand and she choked back a shriek. But apart from the spider, she was alone in the cupboard, in the pitch black. And then her hand touched something that felt for all the world like somebody's cheek and lips, small and cold, and a voice whispered in her ear, "Hush and shush, say nothing, for the Belter might be listening." Coraline said nothing. She felt a cold hand touch her face, she felt a cold hand touching her face, fingers running over it like the gentle beat of a moth's wing. Another voice, hesitant and so faint Coraline wondered if she were imagining it, said, Art thou alive?" "Yes," whispered Coraline. "Poor child," said the first voice. "Who are you?" whispered Coraline. "Names, names, names," said another voice, all far away and lost. "The names are the first things to go, after the breath is gone, and the beating of the heart.
we keep our memories longer than our names. I still keep picturing in my mind of my governess on some May morning, carrying my hoop and stick, and the morning sun behind her, and all the tulips bobbing in the breeze, and of the tulips but I've forgotten the name of my governess, and of the tulips too.
I don't think tulips have names, said Coraline. They're just tulips.
Perhaps, said the voice sadly, but I have always thought that these tulips must have had names. Names. They were red and orange red, and red and orange and yellow, like the embers in the nursery fire of a winter's evening. I remember them.
The voice sounded so sad that Coraline put out a hand to the place where it was coming from, and she found a cold hand, and she squeezed it tightly. Her eyes were beginning to get used to the darkness. Now Coraline saw, or imagined she saw, 3 shapes, each as faint and pale as a moon in the daytime sky. They were the shapes of children about her own size. The cold hand squeezed her hand back.
Thank you,
said the voice. Are you a girl? Asked Coraline. Or a boy? There was a pause.
When I was small, I wore skirts, and my hair was long and curled,
it said doubtfully.
But now that you ask, it does seem to me that one day they took my skirts and give me breeches and cut my hair. 'Tain't something we give a mind to,
said the first of the voices.
A boy, perhaps, then,
continued the one whose hand she was holding.
I believe I was once a boy.
And it glowed a little more brightly in the darkness of the room behind the mirror. What happened to you all? Asked Coraline. How did you come here?
She left us here,
said one of the voices.
She stole our hearts, and she stole our souls, and she took our
wives, sorry. I mean, back in the day.
And she took...
let me start again.
She left us here,
said one of the voices.
She stole our hearts, and she stole our souls, and she took our lives away, and she left us here, and she forgot about us in the dark.
You poor things, said Coraline. How long have you been here?
So very long a time,
said a voice.
Aye, time beyond reckoning,
said another voice.
I walked through the scullery door,
said the voice of the one that thought it might be a boy,
and I found myself back in the parlour. But she was waiting for me. She told me she was my other mamma, but I never saw my true mamma again. Flee,
said the very first of the voices. Another girl, Coraline fancied.
Flee, while there's still air in your lungs, and blood in your veins, and warmth in your heart. Flee while you still have your mind and your soul.
I'm not running away, said Coraline. She has my parents. I came to get them back.
Ah, but she'll keep you here while the days turn to dust, and the leaves fall, and the years pass one after the next, like the tick, tick, ticking of a clock.
No, said Coraline. She won't. There was silence then in the room behind the mirror.
Peradventure, said a voice in the darkness. If you could win your mamma and your papa back from the bell dam, you could also win free our souls.
Has she taken them? Asked Coraline, shocked.
Aye, and hidden them. That is why we could not leave here when we died. She kept us, and she fed on us, until now we're nothing left of ourselves, only snake skins and spider husks. Find our secret heart's young mistress.
"And what will happen to you if I do?" asked Coraline. The voices said nothing. "And what is she going to do to me?" she said. The pale figures pulsed faintly. She could imagine that they were nothing more than after images, like the glow left by a bright light in your eyes after the lights go out.
"It doth not hurt,"
whispered one faint voice.
"She will take your life, and all you are, and all you carest for, and she will leave you with nothing but mist and fog. She'll take your joy, and one day you'll awake, and your heart and your soul will have gone. A husk you'll be, a wisp you'll be, and a thing no more than a dream on waking, or a memory of something forgotten. Hollow,"
whispered the third voice.
hollow, 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 hollow.
Oh, my foot's falling asleep.
"You must flee,"
sighed a voice faintly. "I don't think so," said Coraline. "I tried running away and it didn't work. She just took my parents. Can you tell me how to get out of this room?"
"If we knew, then we would tell you."
"Poor things," said Coraline to herself. She sat down. She took off her sweater and rolled it up and put it behind her head as a pillow. "She won't keep me in the dark forever," said Coraline. "She brought me here to play games. Games and challenges." Oh, wait, sorry. This is the cat talking. "She won't keep me in the dark forever," said Coraline. Oh, wait, sorry, she's... Oh, my foot is tickling. Oh my god, that tickles so much. Oh, fuck's sake. Oh. Yeah, this is quite scary for a kid. I'm glad that it helped you fall asleep, by the way, Bridget. Let's see. Yeah, she's just paraphrasing the cat. "She won't keep me in the dark forever," said Coraline. "She brought me here to play games. Games and challenges," the cat said. "I'm not much of a challenge here in the dark." She tried to get comfortable, twisting and bending herself to fit the cramped space behind the mirror. Her stomach rumbled. She ate her last apple, taking the tiniest bites, making it last as long as she could. When she had finished, she was still hungry. Then an idea struck her, and she whispered, "When she comes to let me out, why don't you three come with me?"
"We wish that we could,"
they sighed to her in their barely there voices.
"but she has our hearts in her keeping. Now we belong to the dark and to the empty places. The light would shrivel us and burn."
"Oh," said Coraline. She closed her eyes, which made the darkness darker, and she rested her head on the rolled-up sweater. Then she went to sleep. And as she fell asleep, she thought she felt a ghost kiss her cheek, tenderly, and a small voice whisper into her ear. A voice so faint it was barely there at all. A gentle, wispy nothing of a voice, so hushed that Coraline could almost believe she was imagining it.
"Look through the stone,"
it said to her, and then she slept. Ooh. Is this what the inside of your guy's balls look like? Is this what the inside of a testicle looks like? Okay. You're pretty good at this stuff. Very relaxing. Thank you. I mean, I used to read books to my nieces, like, quite a while ago, and I'd always do this, where, like, when I was reading out loud, I'd, like, do different voices and read it, like, a bit more dramatically than if I was just reading it in my head. to like get them more excited and stuff. They really enjoyed me reading books. And I'd just be like, oh my god, I need to go home. Guys, come on, just go to sleep. Anyway. Chapter 8. The other mother looked healthier than before. There was a little blush to her cheeks, and her hair was wriggling like lazy snakes on a warm day. Her black button eyes seemed as if they had been freshly polished. She had pushed through the mirror as if she were walking through nothing more than solid water. Oh. Nothing more solid than water, and had stared down at Coraline. Then she had opened the door with the little silver key. She picked Coraline up, just as Coraline's real mother had, when Coraline was much younger, cradling the half-sleeping child as if she were a baby. The other mother carried Coraline into the kitchen and put her down very gently upon the countertop. Coraline struggled to wake herself up, conscious only for the moment of having been cuddled and loved, and wanting more of it, then realised where she was and who she was with.
"There, my sweet Coraline," said her other mother. "I came and fetched you out of the cupboard. You needed to be taught a lesson. But we temper our justice with mercy here. We love the sinner and we hate the sin. Now, if you will be a good child who loves her mother, be compliant and fair-spoken, you and I shall understand each other perfectly, and we shall love each other perfectly as well."
Coraline scratched the sleep grit from her eyes. "There were other children in there," she said. "Old ones from a long time ago."
"Were they?"
said the other mother. She was bustling between the pans in the fridge, bringing out eggs and cheeses, butter and a slab of sliced pink bacon. "Yes," said Coraline, "there were. I think you're planning to turn me into one of them. A dead shell." Yeah, that's how you know she's a kid as well, because it's not exactly like I don't think like an adult would be like, "Yeah, bro, I know what your plans are." I mean, maybe they would, but let's see. Her other mother smiled gently. With one hand she cracked the eggs into a bowl, with the other she whisked them and whirled them. Then she dropped a pat of butter into a frying pan, where it hissed and fizzled and spun as she sliced thin slices of cheese. She poured the melted butter and the cheese into the egg mixture and whisked it some more. Bro, I'm about to get fucking hungry again. What the fuck? This is fucked up. I'm gonna need to take another break to eat something if this book keeps giving me like mental, any more mental visual ASMR of food. "Now I think you're being silly, dear," said the other mother. "I love you." Wait, where are we? "I love you. I will always love you. Nobody sensible believes in ghosts anyway. That's because they're all such liars. Smell the lovely breakfast I'm making for you." She poured the yellow mixture into the pan. "Cheese omelette, your favourite." Coraline's mouth watered. "You like games," she said. "That's what I've been told." The other mother's black eyes flashed. "Everybody likes games," was all she said. "Yes, Coraline." Sorry. "Yes," said Coraline. She climbed down from the counter and sat at the kitchen table. The bacon was sizzling and spitting under the grill. It smelled wonderful. "Wouldn't you be happier if you won me, fair and square?" asked Coraline. Possibly," said the other mother. She had a show of unconcernedness, but her fingers twitched and drummed, and she licked her lips with her scarlet tongue. "What exactly are you offering?" "Me," said Coraline, and she gripped her knees under the table to stop them from shaking. "If I lose, I'll stay with you here forever and I'll let you love me. I'll be your most dutiful daughter. I'll eat your food and play happy families, and I'll let you sew your buttons into my eyes." Her other mother stared at her, black buttons on blinking. And that sounds very fine, and she said. And if you do not lose, then you let me go. You let everyone go. My real father and mother, the dead children, everyone you've trapped here. The other mother took the bacon from under the grill and put it on a plate. Then she slipped the cheese omelette from the pan onto the plate, flipping it as she did so, letting it fold itself into a perfect omelette shape. I'm drooling. Ugh. She placed the breakfast plate in front of Coraline, along with a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice and a mug of frothy hot chocolate. Bro, she has a hot drink and a cold drink. Bro, that is like, I love that. Like, I love that so much. I'm like, whenever I have a hot drink, I've got to have a, if I have a meal, I've got to have a cold drink. But if I have a hot drink, I've got to have a cold drink too. I've got to have the two drinks. Okay. Okay. She placed the breakfast plate in front of Coraline, along with a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice and a mug of frothy hot chocolate. Yes, she said. I think I like this game. But what kind of game shall it be? A riddle game? A test of knowledge? Or of skill? An exploring game, suggested Coraline. A finding things game. And what is it you think you should be finding in this hide-and-go-seek game, Coraline Jones? Coraline hesitated. Then, my parents, said Coraline, and the souls of the children behind the mirror. The other mother smiled at this, triumphantly, and Coraline wondered if she had made the right choice. Still, it was too late to change her mind now. A deal, said the other mother. Now, eat up your breakfast, my sweets. Don't worry, it won't hurt you. Coraline stared at the breakfast, hating herself for giving in so early, but she was starving. How do I know you'll keep your word? Asked Coraline. I swear it, said the other mother. I swear it on my own mother's grave. Does she have a grave? Asked Coraline. Oh yes, said the other mother. I put her in there myself. And when I found her trying to crawl out, I put her right back. Swear on something else, so I can trust you to keep your word. My right hand, said the other mother, holding it up. She waggled the long fingers slowly, displaying the claw-like nails. I swear on that. Coraline shrugged. Okay, she said. It's a deal. She ate the breakfast, trying not to wolf it down. She was hungrier than she had thought. As she ate, the other mother stared at her. It was hard to read expressions into those black button eyes, but Coraline thought that her other mother looked hungry too. She drank the orange juice, but even though she knew she would like it, she could not bring herself to taste the hot chocolate. I wonder if that's because that's what the policeman told her to do. Where should I start looking? Asked Coraline. Where you wish, said her other mother, as if she did not care at all. Coraline looked at her, and Coraline thought hard. There was no point, she decided, in exploring the garden and the grounds. They didn't exist. They weren't real. There was no abandoned tennis court in the other mother's world, no bottomless well. All that was real was the house itself. She looked around the kitchen. She opened the oven, peered into the freezer. The other mother followed her about, looking at Coraline with a smirk, always hovering at the edge of her lips. How big are souls anyway? Asked Coraline. The other mother sat down at the kitchen table and leaned back against the wall, saying nothing. She picked at her teeth with a long crimson varnish fingernail. Then she tapped the finger, gently tap, 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 against the polished black surface of her black button eyes. Fine, said Coraline. Don't tell me. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you help me or not. Everyone knows that a soul is the same size as a beach ball. She really is like a kid, bro. Insert meme of Livy pushing the zombie back into the grave. fucking love that scene. It's so funny. And the zombie just bursts out and he's like, why did you push me down? Like, it's just like, what the fuck are you not... I don't know. Anyway. She was hoping the other mother would say something like, nonsense. Oh, she's trying to trick her. Okay, I thought she was just being like, classic kid moment again or something. Fine, said Coraline. Don't tell me. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you help me or not. Everyone knows that a soul is the same size as a beach ball. She was hoping the other mother would say something like, nonsense, they're the size of ripe onions, or suitcases, or grandfather clocks. But the other mother simply smiled, and the tap, tap, tapping of her fingernail against her eye was as steady and relentless as the drip of water droplets from the tap into the sink. And then Coraline realised it was simply the noise of the water, and she was alone in the room. Coraline shivered. She preferred the other mother to have a location. If she were nowhere, then she could be anywhere. Oh. If she were nowhere, then she could be anywhere. And after all, it is always easier to be afraid of something that you cannot see. She put her hands into her pockets, and her fingers closed around the reassuring shape of the stone with the hole in it. She pulled it out of her pocket, held it in front of her as if she were holding a gun, and walked out into the hole. There was no sound but the tap-tap of the water dripping into the metal sink. Excuse me. She glanced at the water. She glanced at the mirror at the end of the hall. For a moment it clouded over, and it seemed to her that the faces swam in the glass, indistinct and shapeless. And then the faces were gone, and there was nothing in the mirror but a girl who was small for her age, holding something that glowed gently, like a green coal. Coraline looked down at her hand, surprised. It was just a pebble with a hole in it, a nondescript brown stone. Then she looked back into the mirror where the stone glimmered like an emerald. A trail of green fire blew from the stone in the mirror and drifted towards Coraline's bedroom. Said Coraline. She walked into the bedroom. The toys fluttered excitedly as she came in, as if they were pleased to see her, and a little tank rolled out of the toy box to greet her, its treads rolling over several other toys. It fell from the toy box onto the floor, tipping as it fell, and it lay on the carpet like a beetle on its back, grumbling and grinding its treads before Coraline picked it up and turned it over. The tank fled under the bed in embarrassment. Coraline looked around the room. She looked in the cupboards and the drawers. Then she picked up one end of the toy box and tipped all the toys out onto the carpet, where they grumbled and stretched and wiggled awkwardly free of each other. A grey marble rolled across the floor and clicked against the wall. None of the toys looked particularly soul-like, she thought. She picked up and examined a silver charm bracelet from which hung tiny animals, which chased each other around the perimeter of the bracelet, the fox never catching the rabbit, the bear never gaining on the fox. Coraline opened her hand and looked at the stone with the hole in it, hoping for a clue but not finding one. Most of the toys that had been in the toy box had no Oh my god. I think I need to sit in a more comfortable position because it's it's a little hard for me to... It's a little hard for me to be comfortable. Jeez. Excuse you, lamp. I think I have to lay the book down or something, I don't know. Let's see. Where are we? Okay. Coraline opened her hand and looked at the stone with the hole in it, hoping for a clue but not finding one. Most of the toys that had been in the toy box had now crawled away to hide under the bed, and the few toys that were left, a green plastic soldier, the glass marble, a vivid pink yo-yo, and such, were the kinds of things you find in the bottoms of toy boxes in the real world. Forgotten objects, abandoned and unloved. She was about to leave and look elsewhere, and then she remembered a voice in the darkness, a gentle whispering voice, and what it had told her to do. She raised the stone with the hole in it and held it in front of her right eye. She closed her left eye and looked at the room through the hole in the stone. Through the stone, the world was grey and colourless like a pencil drawing. Everything in it was grey. No, not quite everything. Something glinted on the floor. Something the colour of an ember in a nursery fire. Something glinted on the floor. Something the colour of an ember in a nursery fireplace. The colour of a scarlet and orange tulip nodding in the May sun. That's what the ghost said earlier. Coraline reached out her left hand, scared that if she took her eye off it, it would vanish, and she fumbled for the burning thing. Her fingers closed about something smooth and cool. She snatched it up and then lowered the stone with the hole in it from her eye and looked down. The grey glass marble from the bottom of that toy box sat dully in the pink palm of her hand. She raised the stone to her eye once more and looked through it at the marble. Once again, the marble burned and flickered with a red fire. A voice whispered in her mind,
"Indeed, lady, it comes to me that I was certainly a boy. Now I do think on it. Oh, but you must hurry. There are 2 of us still to find, and the beldam is already hungry with you for uncovering me. Is already angry with you for uncovering me."
If I'm going to do this, thought Coraline, I'm not going to do it in her clothes. She changed back into her pyjamas and her dressing gown and her slippers, leaving the grey sweater and the black jeans neatly folded up on the bed, the orange boots on the floor by the toy box. She put the marble into her dressing gown pocket and walked out into the hall. Something stung her face and hands like sand blowing on a beach on a windy day. She covered her eyes and pushed forward. The sand stings got worse, and it got harder and harder to walk, as if she were pushing into the wind on a particularly blustery day. It was a vicious wind, a cold one. She took a step backwards the way she had come.
"Oh, keep going,"
whispered a ghost voice in her ear,
"for the beldam is angry."
She stepped forward in the hallway into another gust of wind, which stung her cheeks and face with invisible sand, sharp as needles, sharp as glass. "Play fair!" shouted Coraline into the wind. There was no reply, but the wind whipped about her one more time, petulantly, and then it dropped away and was gone. As she passed the kitchen, Coraline could hear in the sudden silence the drip-drip of the water from the leaking tap, or perhaps the other mother's long fingernails tapping impatiently against the table. Coraline resisted the urge to look. In a couple of strides, she reached the front door and she walked outside. Coraline went down the steps and around the house until she reached the other Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's flat. The lamps around the door were flickering on and off almost randomly now. Sorry, neighbour. Spelling out no words that Coraline could understand. I need some water, I think. What was I? The lamps around the door were flickering on and off almost randomly now, spelling out no words that Coraline could understand. The door was closed. She was afraid it was locked, and she pushed on it with all her strength. First it stuck, then suddenly it gave, and, with a jerk, Coraline stumbled into the dark room beyond. Coraline closed one hand around the stone with the hole in it and walked forward into blackness. She expected to find a curtained anteroom, but there was nothing there. The room was dark. The theatre was empty. She moved ahead cautiously. Something rustled above her. She looked up into a deeper darkness, and so she did so her feet knocked against something. She reached down and picked up a torch and clicked it on, sweeping the beam around the room. The theatre was derelict and abandoned. Chairs were broken on the floor, and old dusty spider webs draped the walls and hung from the rotten wood and the decomposing velvet hangings. Something rustled once again. Coraline directed her light beam upwards towards the ceiling. There were things up there. Hairless. Jellyfish? She thought they might have once had faces, might even once have been dogs, but no dogs had wings like bats, or could hang like spiders, like bats, upside down. The light startled the creatures and one of them took to the air, its wings whirring heavily through the dust. Coraline ducked as it swooped close to her. It came to rest on a far wall, and it began to clamber upside down back to the nest of the dog bats upon the ceiling. Coraline raised the stone to her eye and she scanned the room through it, looking for something that glowed or glinted, a telltale sign that somewhere in this room was another hidden soul. She ran the beam of the torch about the room as she searched, the thick dust in the air making the light beam seem almost solid. There was something up on the back wall behind the ruined stage. It was greyish-white, twice the size of Coraline herself, and it was stuck to the back wall like a slug. Bro, that's you guys! Coraline took a deep breath. I'm not afraid, she told herself. I'm not. She did not believe herself, but she scrambled onto the old stage, fingers sinking into the rotting wood as she pulled herself up. As she got closer to the thing on the wall, she saw that it was some kind of a sack, like a spider's egg case. It twitched in the light beam. Inside the sack was something that looked like a person, but a person with two heads, with twice as many arms and legs as it should have. The creature in the sack seemed horribly unformed and unfinished, as if two plasticine people had been warmed and rolled together, squashed and pressed into one thing. Coraline hesitated. She did not want to approach the thing. The dogbats dropped, one by one, from the ceiling and began to circle the room, coming close to her but never touching her. Perhaps there are no souls hidden in here, she thought. Perhaps I can just leave and go somewhere else. She took a last look through the hole in the stone. The abandoned theatre was still a bleak grey, but now there was a brown glow, as rich and bright as polished cherry wood, coming from inside the sack. Whatever was glowing was being held in one of the hands of the thing on the wall. The soul. It's probably a soul. Coraline walked slowly across the damp stage, trying to make as little noise as she could, afraid that if she disturbed the thing in the sack, it would open its eyes and see her, and then... But there was nothing that she could think of that was as scary as having it look at her. Her heart pounded in her chest. She took another step forward. She had never been so scared, but still she walked forward until she reached the sack. Then she pushed her hand into the sticky, clinging whiteness of the stuff on the wall. Trying not to make a joke here. It crackled softly like a tiny fire as she pushed, and it clung to her skin and clothes like a spider webs cling, like white candy floss. She pushed her hand into it and she reached upward until she touched a cold hand, which was, she could feel, closed around another glass marble. The creature's skin felt slippery, as if it had been covered in jelly. Coraline tugged at the marble. At first, nothing happened. It was held tight in the creature's grasp. Then, one by one, the fingers loosened their grip, and the marble slipped into her hand. She pulled her arm back through the sticky webbing, relieved that the thing's eyes had not opened. She shone the light on its faces. They resembled, she decided, the younger versions of Miss Spink and Miss Forcible, but twisted and squeezed together, like two lumps of wax that had melted and melded together into one ghastly object.
Without warning, one of the creature's hands made a grab for Coraline's arm. Its fingernails scraped her skin, but it was too slippery to grip, and Coraline pulled away successfully. And then their eyes opened. 4 black buttons, glinting and staring down at her, and 2 voices that sounded like no voice that Coraline had ever heard began to speak to her. One of them wailed and whispered. The other buzzed like a fat and angry blue bottle at a window pane, but the voices said as one person, "Thief, give it back! Thief!" The air became alive with dog bats. Coraline began to back away. She realised then that terrifying through the thing on the wall was the thing that had once been the other Mrs. Spink Enforceable. It was attached to the wall by its web, encased in its cocoon. It could not follow her. The dog bats flapped and fluttered about her, but they did nothing to hurt Coraline. She climbed down from the stage and shone the torch about the old theatre, looking for the way out.
"Flee, miss,"
wailed a girl's voice in her head.
"Flee now. You have 2 of us. Flee this place while your blood still flows."
Coraline dropped the marble into her pocket beside the other. She spotted the door, ran to it, and pulled on it until it opened.
Oh damn, she's ready for date night. Damn. Sheesh, what that tongue do though? Oh, body horror for children. I mean, I guess. The like image of like the like plasticine people like melding together is like, ugh. It's almost like that's like the visual representation of the old people describing their memories to each other and their stories to each other again and again and again. Because like whenever Miss Spink Enforceable have talked in this book, like the real ones, they just talk about like their memories of like who they were and like how they were so gorgeous and such great actresses and such. But like obviously, you know, you kind of have to move on, you kind of have to have a life, you can't just, you know, think about these past things over and over again. I would know. Okay. Ugh. I'm gonna move my webcam a little bit this way. And a little bit of fire. Okay. Outside, the world had become a formless, swirling mist with no shapes or shadows behind it, while the house itself seemed to have twisted and stretched. It appeared to Coraline that it was crouching and staring down at her, as if it were not really a house, but only the idea of a house, and the person who had the idea, she was certain, was not a good person. There was sticky web stuff clinging to her arm, and she wiped it off as best she could. The grey windows of the house slanted at strange angles. The other mother was waiting for her, standing on the grass with her arms folded. Her black buttons were expressionless, but her lips were pressed tightly together in a cold fury. When she saw Coraline, she reached out one long white hand, and she crooked a finger. Coraline walked towards her. The other mother said nothing. "I found 2, said Coraline. "One soul still to go." The expression on the other mother's face did not change. She might not have heard what Coraline said. "Well, I just thought you'd want to know," said Coraline. "Thank you, Coraline," said the other mother coldly. And her voice did not just come from her mouth. It came from the mist, and the fog, and the house, and the sky. She said, "You know that I love you." And despite herself, Coraline nodded. It was true, the other mother loved her, but she loved Coraline as a miser loves money, or a dragon loves its gold. In the other mother's button eyes, Coraline knew that she was a possession, nothing more. A tolerated pet whose behaviour was no longer amusing. "I don't want your love," said Coraline. "I don't want anything from you." "Not even a helping hand?" asked the other mother. "You have been doing so well after all. I thought you might want a little hint to help you with the rest of your treasure hunt." "I'm doing fine on my own," said Coraline. "Yes," said the other mother, "but if you wanted to get into the flat in the front, the empty one, to look around, you would find the door locked, and then where would you be?" "Oh," Coraline pondered this for a moment. Then she said, "Is there a key?" The other mother stood there in the paper-grey fog of the flattening world. Her black hair drifted about her head as if it had a mind and a purpose all of its own. She coughed suddenly in the back of her throat, and then she opened her mouth. The other mother reached up her hand and removed a small, brass front door key from her tongue. "Here," she said. "You'll need this to get in." She tossed the key casually towards Coraline, who caught it one-handed before she could think about whether she wanted it or not. The key was still slightly damp. A chill wind blew about them, and Coraline shivered and looked away. When she looked back, she was alone. Uncertainly, she walked round to the front of the house and stood in front of the door to the empty flat. Like all the doors, it was painted bright green. Kind of an elder's representation of being tangled in the yeah, no, I like, that's, yeah, it's pretty good. I like it.
"She does not mean you well,"
whispered a ghost voice in her ear.
"We do not believe..."
Excuse me. I'm gonna move my stuff a little so I can... Let me bring the book more... Oops. Oops daisy. What happened to my webcam? My webcam just broke. My webcam just disconnected somehow. But are you good? Brother. Give me 1 second. Okie doke. I think I fixed it. There we go. Buggers. I feel like I should have had it like this the whole time, maybe. Because then you get to see my thighs. My thighs. My motherfucking thighs. Put your pretty fingers to the moon. Sorry, I need to get back to reading. Anyway. Let's see. Right, we are here.
"She does not mean you well,"
whispered a ghost voice in her ear.
"We do not believe that she would help you. It must be a trick."
Coraline said, "Yes, you're right, I expect." Then she put the key in the lock and turned it. Silently, the door swung open, and silently, Coraline walked inside. The flat had walls the colour of old milk. The wooden... Sorry, y'all, my neighbours. The wooden boards of the floor were uncarpeted and dusty with the marks and patterns of old carpets and rugs on them. There was no furniture in there, only places where furniture had once been. Nothing decorated the walls. There were discoloured rectangles on the walls to show where paintings on photographs had once hung. It was so silent that Coraline had managed that she could hear the motes of dust drifting through the air. She found herself to be quite worried that something would jump out at her, so she began to whistle. She thought it might make it harder for things to jump out at her if she was whistling. First, she walked through the empty kitchen. Then she walked through an empty bathroom, containing only a cast iron bath. And in the bath, a dead spider the size of a small cat. Oh my god, bro, I'd die. Jesus. That's disgusting. The last room she looked at had, she supposed, once been a bedroom. She could imagine that the rectangular dust shadow on the floorboards had once been a bed. Then she saw something and smiled grimly. Set into the floorboards was a large metal ring. Coraline knelt down and took the cold ring in her hands and tugged upward as hard as she could. Terribly, slowly, stiffly, heavily, a hinged square of floor lifted. It was a trapdoor. It lifted, and through the opening, Coraline could only see darkness. She reached down her hand, and her hand found a cold switch. She flicked it without much hope that it would work, but somewhere below her a bulb lit, and a thin, yellow light came up from the hole in the floor. She could see steps, heading down, but nothing else. Coraline put her hand into her pocket and took out the stone with the hole in it. She looked through it at the ceiling but saw nothing. She put the stone back into her pocket. Up through the hole in the floor came the smell of damp clay and something else. An acrid tang like sour vinegar. Blech. I can smell it, brother. Coraline let herself down into the hole, looking nervous. Like, that's the thing with, like, why I love, like, text-based things. Like, visual novels, books, the like. When I read something, it makes me smell something. Or, like, if I see something, like a picture, I can almost, like, smell it. I will get tested at one point, I swear. I swear. Okay. Let's see. Ugh, yeah. Up through the hole in the floor came the smell of damp clay and something else, an acrid tang like sour vinegar. I can smell it, bruh. Coraline let herself down into the hole, looking nervously at the trapdoor. It was so heavy that if it fell, she was sure she would be trapped down in the darkness forever. She put up her hand and touched it, but it stayed in position. And then she turned towards the darkness below. And she walked down the steps. Set into the wall at the bottom of the steps was another light switch, metal and rusting. She put it in until it clicked down, and a naked bulb hanging from a wire from the low ceiling came. It did not give out enough light even for Coraline to make out the things that had been painted onto the flaking cellar walls. The paintings seemed crude. There were eyes, she could see that, and things that might have been grapes. And other things below them, Coraline could not be sure that they were paintings of people. There was a pile of rubbish in one corner of the room, cardboard boxes filled with mildewed papers, and decaying curtains in a heap beside them. Coraline's slippers crunched across the cement floor. The bad smell was worse now. She was ready to turn and leave when she saw the foot sticking out from beneath the pile of curtains. Oh no, is this where, like, the corpses are? She took a deep breath. The smells of sour wine and mouldy bread filled her head, and pulled away the damp cloth to reveal something more or less the size and shape of a person. In that dim light, it took her several seconds to recognize it for what it was. The thing was pale and swollen, like a grub, with thin, stick-like arms and feet. It had almost no features on its face, which had puffed and swollen like risen bread dough. The thing had 2 large black buttons where its eyes should have been. Coraline made a noise, a sound of revulsion and horror, and as if it had heard her and awakened, the thing began to sit up. Coraline stood there, frozen. The thing turned its head until both its black button eyes were pointed straight at her. A mouth opened in the mouthless face, strands of pale stuff sticking to the lips, and a voice that no longer even faintly resembled her father's whispered, "Coraline." "Well," said Coraline to the thing that had once been her other father, "at least you didn't jump out at me." The creature's twig-like hands moved to its face and pushed the pale clay about, making something like a nose. It said nothing. "I'm looking for my parents," said Coraline, "or a stolen soul from one of the other children. Are they down here?" "There is nothing here," said the pale thing indistinctly. "Nothing but dust and damp and forgetting." The thing was white and huge and swollen. Monstrous, thought Coraline, but also miserable. She raised the stone with the hole in it to her eye and looked through it. Nothing. The pale thing was telling her the truth. "Poor thing," she said. "I bet she made you come down here as a punishment for telling me too much." The thing hesitated, then nodded. Coraline wondered how she could ever have imagined this grub-like thing resembled her father. "I'm so sorry," she said. "She's not best pleased," said the thing that was once the other father. "Not best pleased at all. You've put her quite out of sorts, and when she gets out of sorts, she takes it out on everybody else. It's her way." Coraline patted its hairless head. Its skin was tacky, like warm bread dough. "Poor thing," she said. "You're just a thing she made and then threw away." The thing nodded vigorously. As it nodded, the left butter knife fell off and clattered onto the concrete floor. The thing looked around vacantly with its one eye, as if it had lost her. Finally, it saw her, and as if making a great effort, it opened its mouth once more and said in a wet, urgent voice, "Run, child. Leave this place. She wants me to hurt you, to keep you here forever, so that you can never finish the game. And she will win. She is pushing me so hard to hurt you, I cannot fight her." "You can," said Coraline. "Be brave." She looked around. The thing that had once been the other father was between her... Oh god, I didn't sweat off the letters, did I? Oh no. I hope I didn't sweat the, like... There's like a... Oh no. Oops. I think I might have sweat some of the letters to be a little faded. Oops. She looked around. The thing that had once been the other father was between her and the steps, up and out of the ceiling. She started edging along the wall, heading towards the steps. The thing twisted bonelessly until its one eye was again facing her. It seemed to be getting bigger now, and more awake. "Alas," it said, "I cannot." And it lunged across the cellar towards her then, its toothless mouth opened wide. Coraline had a single heartbeat in which to react. She could only think of two things to do. Either she could scream and try to run away and be chased around a badly lit cellar by the huge grub thing, be chased until it caught her, or she could do something else. So she did something else. As the thing reached her, Coraline put out her hand and closed it around the thing's remaining button eye, and she tugged as hard as she knew how. For a moment nothing happened. Then the button came away and flew from her hand, clicking against the brickwork before it fell to the cellar floor. The thing froze in place. Oops. Apologies. The thing froze in place. It threw its pale head back blindly and opened its mouth horribly wide, and it roared its anger and frustration. Then, all in a rush, the thing swept towards the place where Coraline had been standing. But Coraline was not standing there any longer. She was already tiptoeing as quietly as she could up the stairs. She was already tiptoeing as quietly as she could up the stairs that would take her away from the dim cellar with the crude paintings on the walls. She could not take her eyes from the floor beneath her, though across which a pale thing flopped and writhed, hunting for her. Then, as if it was being told what to do, the creature stopped moving, and its blind head tipped to one side. "It's listening for me," thought Coraline. "I must be extra quiet." She took another step up, and her foot slipped on the step, and the thing heard her. Its head tipped towards her. For a moment it swayed and seemed to be gathering its wits. Then, fast as a serpent, it slithered for the steps and began to flow up them towards her. Coraline turned and ran wildly up the last half-dozen steps, and she pushed herself up and onto the floor of the dusty bedroom. Without pausing, she pulled the heavy trapdoor towards her and let go of it. It crashed down with a thump just as something large banged against it. The trapdoor shook and rattled in the floor, but it stayed where it was. Coraline took a deep breath. If there had been any furniture in that flat, even a chair, she would have pulled it onto the trapdoor, but there was nothing. Ugh. Mimi slamming her bugs. I didn't mean to, it's just my hands are sweaty because I'm hot. And I would put my fan on, but it's loud. I mean, I guess I can do it a little. I got another one, an electric one that's a little quieter. Oh, that feels nice actually. I guess I'll have this on to the side. Whoops. Oopsie daisy, I hurt you again. Oh. Oh god, neighbour dog. Sorry y'all. Let's see. She walked out of that flat as fast as she could, without actually ever running, and she locked the front door behind her. She left the door key under the mat, then she walked down onto the drive. Coraline had I nearly said farted. Hold on, I need some water. Yeah, no, they do kind of resemble, like, at least I'm thinking of like the two brothers, the two like chef brothers that do look like crumbly, not crumbly, like they look like they're made out of like bread dough, raw bread dough. I see what you mean. She walked out of that flat as fast as she could, without actually ever running, and she locked the front door behind her. She left the door key under the mat, then she walked down onto the drive. Coraline had Why do I keep saying she farted? I'm like projecting because I've tooted tiny bits here and there throughout the stream and prayed that you guys haven't heard. Coraline had half expected that the other mother would be standing there waiting for her to come out, but the world was silent and empty. Coraline wanted to go home. She hugged herself and told herself that she was brave, and she almost believed herself, and then she walked around to the side of the house, in the grey mist that wasn't a mist, and she made the stairs to go up. She made 4 the stairs to go up. That kind of made me choke up a little bit, the part where it's like, she hugged herself and told herself that she was brave. That's like something I always do, like, not just as like a kid, but as an adult, like, I'll you know, self-soothe, like I don't know, hug myself, pat myself on the shoulder, I'll like fud my ears, like, I don't know, like squeeze my arms, something like that, and tell myself I'm doing the best I can. And I feel that, I feel her, you know, I understand what she's feeling. Oh, look at the boy. So cute. Got such long legs like Cindy. Maybe projecting hard. Projecting like a motherfucking film. Okay. Okay. What time is it? Oh my god, it's 10:20. God damn. I mean, like, I feel like at this point I might as well finish the book. Maybe. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I feel like if I stop now, it's, you know, it's kind of difficult. And I don't really feel tired. Oops. What the fuck? You already ran out of charge? You fucking bitch. I swear I'd been charging this motherfucking fan all night and then it's like blue. You goddamn bitch. Luckily... Oh, no, I don't have an extra USB cable, god damn it. Well, I guess I'll die. Oh wait, I've got my frizzable fruit shape. Oh, it's all liquidy. Oh no, I'm getting water droplets all over my leg. Oops. Oh no. Oh no, I dripped water all over my leg. Oops. The first few were accidental, but that was just to be silly. Oh, that feels good. That feels nice on the back of my neck. Oh, maybe we do stop there, because I mean, my voice is starting to hurt a little bit. To be fair though, you've been live for— wait, have I? To be fair, like, I mean, we've restarted— this is the— we had to restart stream, so I haven't even been keeping track of the time because I've literally just been reading, but maybe we do finish the other part in another stream, because I know that like we did most of the way through, but like I'm worried I'm gonna kill my voice. I'm worried I'm gonna kill my voice, and we have a stream scheduled for today, I believe, and I don't want my voice to be dead for that. Also, I have a stream scheduled for tomorrow, and I don't want it to be dead for that either. What do we have scheduled tomorrow? Dun, 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 dun. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Planning for June. Oh my god, yeah, today's the last day of May. Oh my god. Time, am I right, fellas? Crazy, crazy. Crazy, crazy time we're living in. Yeah, I think I'll leave that there, but that was a lot of fun. This is already, I mean, like, I feel like we've got more scary stuff to come, because like we're getting like, we're like, what, like a third? 2/3 of the way through the book. I'd say not. Okay, we're like 3/4 of the way through the book, I guess. And stuff is starting to get proper creepy now. Like the description of the Miss Spink enforceable in the like the nutsack. It's not a nutsack, but in the like spider egg sack, which I never thought of it being a spider egg sack in the movie, because it's like in the shape of a sweet wrapper, like. But and then the fucking like trap door that has the I'm gonna stuck on my honey sweet some more. The trap door that smells like moldy bread and mildew. I'm like, oh, I can almost smell that, bro. I can smell it. I could smell it as I was reading it. And that's when you know you've got a good descriptor, when you can smell it as you read it. But yeah, it was very, very creepy. I like it. I like it a lot. It's very interesting consuming a piece of media that I already love and have loved for most of my life in a different way. Like, it's almost like how I imagine people who enjoyed like an anime or like a manga reading the light novel version or something for the first time. Like I don't know. It's kind of like the only other example I can think of is I'd watched Shaun of the Dead on like a small screen like my whole life, and then for its 20th anniversary I went and watched it at the cinema, and I was just like, whoa, what the fuck, this is like It's so big.
Oh my god, it's so big.
Sorry. And I'm just fussing around a lot, aren't I? And it's just, I don't know, it's, while I've been reading it, I've been like thinking like what different things they took from the book to inspire the different objects. So like when it talked about the sand like blowing in the wind, I was like, so is that why they is that why they turned the rats in the movie into like sand? Because in the movie we don't even have jumping mice. It's no, sorry. In the movie we have jumping mice that are actually rats. And in this, it's just that they're rats. They weren't anything before. We hear like the man upstairs. We don't know his name in the book. In the movie he's called Mr. Bobinski or something, but in this he talks about how he's got a white mouse circus. So that's like, I think, the only reference we've got to mice so far. So it is interesting to see how they kind of changed it. To be honest, I kind of like the visual of the mice like dying and then like turning into like bags of rat, like dead rat plushes filled with sand. I don't know, maybe there's something else to come that I shall like. But I have been enjoying reading this. I mean, literally, as you said, as you've been saying, Sluggies, we've been streaming for like, what, 4 or 5 hours? But I think I should leave it there because I do have another stream for today planned. And I got some things to do. Oh yeah, I do really want to read Jurassic Park as well. That was me reading Jurassic Park for the first time after growing up with the book. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you mean movie. Let's see. You can finish it another time. I'm game for whatever. Yeah, I think it's best for the sake of my voice that we do it another time. Sorry, I shaved my legs like before I went to go see the back rooms. I didn't end up going to see the back rooms. You know what happened. I got anxious, I came home, stuff. But like whenever I shave my legs, I can't help but be like, It's like very nice for my sensory brain. I think it's interesting that usually adaptations have to remove things, but the movie had to add things. Yeah, I was thinking that too. I like that they kept like the marble thing, but I don't really know what the marble's supposed to represent in the book. I guess it's supposed to represent like their souls, because they talk about it like it's like a flaming fire. It's nice for our brains as well. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. But I hope you guys enjoyed me reading through what, 3/4 of Coraline. I would love to finish reading it for you sometime very soon. I don't know when, obviously, but whenever I do stream, feel free to watch this one and the one before it, because I accidentally turned off my PC halfway through this stream, so there's now 2 parts of this stream. I feel like I'm over-explaining this. I feel like whenever I finish like reviewing something, I always need to give like some kind of monumental overview, but I'm just gonna say I like it. Thumbs up. I haven't finished it yet, so it's hard for me to like give an overview of what I think. I think I like it. And more than anything as well, I just enjoy reading stories where I get to do a bunch of fun voices. Because you guys know I like voice acting. It was very enjoyable, thank you. It's very enjoyable, Mimi. Thank you, I'm glad. Seems very intelligent. I'm glad. I'm very glad. Oh, Freckle check. I don't know why I flicked it. Sorry, Freckle. Why would you do this to me, Mimi? I've been with you your whole life. How could you do this to me? Sorry, buddy. Maybe I am tired. I'm talking to my fucking freckle on my leg. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna leave it though. I need to go do some stuff, do some tidying, what have you. But I will be live later again today. We're going to be doing some planning for June. I did it earlier this year and I realised I hadn't done it in a while. Where like we did a stream on, I can't remember if it was the last day of the month or the first day of the month, but this time we're doing it on the last day of the month. I guess, excuse me, I guess it'll technically be the first day of June, so the next month, because I usually go live after midnight, like 3-4 AM. But I digress. Get fanned, loser. Get fanned, loser. Get fanned, loser. Get fanned. Oh, Jesus! It's made of foam, don't worry, it just scared me. Like, look. Doesn't hurt, it just scared me. Get fanned, loser. Yeah, nonetheless, it is my last day of the month. It's my Mimi time zone. And we're just going to talk about the things that are coming up in the month. Like, for example, tomorrow, I have been very kindly invited to be a co-streamer for the Horror Game Awards. I'm looking forward to that. The day after is the Summer Game Fest, which I won't be streaming, but I will definitely be watching. And there's other things, like, oh my god, there's a few things coming out next week, and I'm like, I don't even know if I can watch them all at once. Maybe I have to do like a triple feature or something, but right now, next week there's Scary Movie 6 coming out. Masters of the Universe? That might already be out, I'm not sure. The Amazing Digital Circus finale is coming out. I still need to see Obsession as well. And I was gonna say Toy Story 5, but I think that comes out a little later in the month. I'll need to double check. Cause I don't remember. But nonetheless, there's a lot of movies coming out next week, and there's things that are coming up in the new month that I am excited for. There's some things I can't talk about because it's like other people's plans, and I don't really want to talk about things that other people have planned because they might not have talked about it and I might be spoiling it. So I'm a zip. But nonetheless, thank you for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your morning, maybe afternoon, maybe evening, maybe night. I see of you. And congratulations on being a host. Thank you. Thank you, whomever. Also, hello, whomever. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I snub you. And well. Oh yes, let me. Oh, she's coming to get you. She's definitely the antagonist of the book and not a little girl that is scared of the monster. She's coming to get you